Hi everyone, I hope I'm all of you in the best of health. Finally, these housemates have successfully pushed our girl, Sheba, our current head of house, to the brink of tears. I'm like, girl, okay, shade it because let me tell you something with tears. It makes you stronger. Mm-hmm. Shedding tears doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. That's a way of easing stress. Like that stress in that house. I think if I'm not mistaken, Chimsom also shedded his own one or two tears those days. Or am I wrong about that? I knew there was a day he ran mad, like he was raging mad to the point that it's like I saw some few drops of tears. But that's by the way, Sheba is a strong girl. She'll find herself. All right, now yesterday Yusuf had an injury. Like I told you guys, the way these cameras keep, digressing here and there. So we didn't see the action, which honestly I'm okay with the fact that I didn't see the action. Like the aftermath of his facial structure will tell you that he had a very bad hit. Like it's like it's under their pool, that their snooker board or something like that. Because for that mouth to get this swollen, it's like maybe he hits, that kind of maybe at the edge or something. He hits like in between his nose and his mouth because there was serious bleeding. Yeah, and I love the fact that the housemates really responded very fast, in as much as everyone still kind of later on continued. But this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. Yeah, Sheba was one that first grabbed the first aid box. I was glad she thought of it because funny enough, even Chimsom that is in the medical field, the pharmacist never think of which I understand anyway. He just wanted to understand the nature of the injury first. You understand? But the good thing was that Sheba quickly came down because the first aid box is upstairs. So she quickly came down with the first aid box and then they quickly salvaged the situation. But it was I was like, oh my god, see my fine Yusuf. Oh, see this fine boy. Well, no wala. It's an injury to eventually go ahead. So basically while doing the tax, Biggie gave them some presentation to make. Like this time around is presentation from one to the other, which is a good thing, yeah. And then unfortunately this injury happened. And then the good thing, you see why alliances are good in the house. You see why it's not always, in as much as I love sheep, I'm a sheep lover, I'm a lover girl. But there are some strategic alliances that might come looking romantic, some might come looking like a bromance, some might come looking as a sister mass. You know what I'm trying to say to you? But to be honest with you, there's no man that is an island, whether we like it or not. God did not create us to survive alone. So there's always a relevance in any form of association, acquaintanceship, relationship, situationship. And yesterday's injury that Yusuf had, he benefited a lot. What do I mean by he benefited a lot? Now, Belle's is also in the health sector. So she was able to cater for that his injury. Like she was literally the nurse, in-house nurse that was able to, and she did it with the fact that there's a good connection. So um there was a conversation between Yusuf and his brother Martins. They are all the Kogi boys, even with Gerard. Mhm. Okay, let me tell you something. Yusuf is an actor and a good one at that. He's a good actor. Yeah, I've watched one of his short films. When these people become popular and you now see their works that has been there will now start popping, the algorithm now has registered or recognized them. So he's a good actor. So going into a relationship with someone like Yusuf can be very risky because you don't know when he means what he means and when he did not mean what he mean. Like in my video of yesterday, I was even linking or I was even blaming um Monday night's nomination show. I noticed a lot of relationships kind of loosened. Like, get what I'm trying to say to you, yeah. But Yusuf's conversation with Martins got me thinking of something. Not necessarily that Yusuf is a playboy or he's trying to play around with bells, but there was something from the day him and the bells started their talking stage. When Bells asked him about his type, they were sitting on that like bed ish in the garden, and she asked him about his spec. and he said he didn't have a spec. Do you know that the moment Yusuf said he didn't have a spec, I just knew that Bells wasn't his spec. But it's a game, and honestly, ships have been a strategy that have kept people long in the game. So I think he just wanted to leverage on everything. And don't forget that he's a fine guy, so he can get any girl he wants. Presumably, because not everyone is down with fine guys. Me, I'm comfortable just admiring fine guys from afar, but having something to do with them, nah, nah, nah. I don't have the heart. I don't, because even if you're a secured person as a woman, even if you're a secured person and you start dating a guy that is physically attractive, from nowhere it will trigger some form of insecurity. Yes, it will trigger, and for some odd reason, I don't know why these fine guys are never strict with their boundaries. Yes, they're never strict with their boundaries. They'll always blaming it on she came at me. So the moment he said to Bells that he didn't have a type, honestly speaking, I just felt this whole thing is a game plan. And this is what I saw from what happened yesterday and from the things he told you, Martins, yesterday, from what you, because Martins and Yusuf were having a serious conversation, although the conversation was already going on because, like I told you, these cameras keep flip flopping. Of course, everyone has to have camera time. So when they came on and with Martins and the things he was saying, how can you say, well, I'll still attribute it to age, maybe, but how can you say that you easily get bored of people? Like, for me, that is not romance. For me, that is just maybe infatuation, I would say. And he said that he was not telling Martins that Bells equally is like that. She also says she gets bored. But at the end of the day, you know why I didn't take any of these statements with seriously? Is I took it with a pinch of salt. Is the fact that both of them are still very young. How old is Bells? Bells is just 22, Abby, and Yusuf himself is just 25. So these are people that are still very young and they're just still exploring life in general. So it's okay. It's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. For now, at their age, after all, they're not, I don't think they're pursuing anything serious. It's not like they're pursuing marriage or no, any committed relationship. No, no, none of that. So I get where it's coming from. But unfortunately, some people will see it like, is Yusuf lying to Bells? Is it whatever? I don't take it that way. And low key, with the things he was saying, it reminded me of Wani and Shom's situationship in the house those days. You know, men, we always leverage on the beautiful side of women, not physical beauty, on that our humanity or humanitarian side. You know, women were nurtured to see everyone as a human being, right? Unlike men, men are nurtured to see people, forgetting as much as people say, but though mostly women though, but even their own fellow men, they see them as a tool, as a stepping tool to achieve what they want to achieve. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense. So our nurturing sense towards humanity is totally different. Sure, you get what I'm saying to you. So when he was saying she's beautiful, she's kind, she's that, I'm like, same old. It's all about what you can get from this person. But to me, it's not that deep. Last, we know that big brothers relationships are always strategic relationships. They are never really. I remember one night that Neche and Nomy were talking about something like that. They were like, you know, when Neche was saying that, but people marry, she said, how many, Kwano? You understand? And she's very correct. Like, if you look at the stats, it's very, very low. Like, it's never a relationship. Even if they go outside the house and they manage to survive it 1 year, 2 years, three, before you know anything, there's just something about big brother relationships anyway. And there was something Bells was telling Mercedes, like after the whole house calmed down, about plaster. We didn't see that part, or rather, I would say I didn't see that part. We didn't see that. I didn't see that part, to be honest with you, where when they were looking for plaster. But I'm wondering, where did Nomy get plaster from? Because they said Nomy had plaster. So I'm like, I thought plaster was supposed to be in the first aid box. Could it be that Nomy picked up the plaster from the first aid box? If that is how it is, then there's a problem whereby Bells went to ask Nomy for plaster while they were trying to dress Yusuf wounds, and Nomy rejected. Like, Nomy refused, I mean. She refused to give Bells the plaster. And I'm like, yo, this is deep. But you know, let me tell you something. Even before Nomy and Bells had that their quarrel on Sunday night, already there's that friction between Nomy and Yusuf. Let me explain. The day that that Neche, Ricky, and Nomy situation drama happened, the following day, because Ricky and Yusuf are kind of paddy paddy, the following day, Yusuf said he said good morning to Nomy, and Nomy refused to answer him. That Keivo was even there. At first, he thought she didn't hear him. He now literally touched her. He was like around that bathroom area. They were brushing or something like that. So he literally touched her and told her good morning, and that she refused to, like, she literally ignored him. So some people might think that is because of her fight with Bells. Already there's an underlining issue that I don't know what exactly Yusuf did or said to Nomy, that Nomy already has some certain contempt towards Yusuf. So her having issue with Bells was just another extra, um will I say, extra beef to those couples to begin with. They are not her people. You understand? So I wouldn't say if there's some level of, I would say that anyway, there's already some level of resentment individually, not because they're a couple. Because I saw online some people are looking at it like, okay, because Yusuf and Bells are together. No, from that, this I'm telling you, like when they came in barely that day, that issue of Neche, now that issue of Neche, Nomy, and Ricky matter was roughly 3 or 4 days when they got into the house, and then the following day. So already, even before Yusuf and Bells got into whatever they are doing right now, Nomy and Yusuf, that was why Yusuf said she has this dark energy. You understand? Now he, even before that, what did they call it? That conspiracy time that he was like, already he had an encounter with her. So when he even saw the fight between Shea and Bells, he was so grateful that Bells did not even indulge her. Sure, you understand? But there was something, who was even saying, was it Oyin or who? I can't remember who was saying that. Or is it Flora? Sorry, I can't remember who was saying something that the energy in Nomy was expected on Neche. I'm like, why would you guys think that way? that the energy that Nomy is giving, that they expected it on Neche, which I would have loved to go deeper into that conversation, but let's just let it go, right? Maybe if it needs to come in as a reference, I will now break it down further. So basically, Nomy refused to give the plaster, and a lot of people felt that it was no. Already, Nomy and Yusuf get their own underlining issue. We've been just the low key. Yes. So that's by the way. But if it was me personally, would I give plaster? What is plaster, for God's sake? And I was wondering why inside Biggie's first aid box there's no plaster. Carry first aid box hang there's no plaster. Plaster is one of the major things that's supposed to be in first aid box now. But that's by the way. Everybody to himself. Everybody has their way of beefing things. Some people will beef you as if, one small thing, they will just convert you to their enemy and beef you one kind of bitter beefing. Okay. Now, last but not the least, on this my notes, or in this my note rather, it's about a triangle. See, last week I did a video where I was speaking about the conversation between that went on between, I think that was after their pool party, last week pool party. There was a conversation that happened between Kamsy and Chimsom. One, we think that they were preparing to get married because there were some really, really deep questions that Chimsom was asking Kamsy. And Kamsy noticed this thing as well, which I also noticed. Chimsom just ended a 4 years relationship. And he didn't hide it to Kamsy. He told Kamsy that he's still in love and he hopes that they could still make up. Even the first day they entered that house, he spoke about that same relationship, hoping that they just broke up 1 month before he came into this show. 1 month. So it's still very, very fresh. So you could still tell that Chisom still wants that relationship. And if you ask me from my own viewership, I see Chisom like trying to use Kamsy as a rebound. A lot of people do that, both male and female, when they get out of a relationship that was very serious. Because obviously you become restless and it's hurtful. It has to do with the matters of the heart. So there's this high tendency of trying to rebound, like just look for someone to just use it and cool off. I don't know if I'm trying to say to you. Hence the reason why Chimsom's approach to Kamsy is more sexual. He's not even interested. I think even with the questions he was asking her that day was just, I don't know if it's just to fill up the blank space, or I don't really cannot tell why he was asking her so deep questions, And she is complaining that Chimsom is sexualizing her, which like I said earlier, I see Chimsom just trying to create a rebound. Nothing serious. Yes. So it's Kamsy that I don't know if she's catching feelings for the Chisom or no, or I don't know. Because even yesterday or so is the first day that Oyin was even gossiping about the situation. She was like, hey, good as Kamsy leave herself, go follow Gerard. You know, that kind of thing. Like Oyin, for some odd reason, I don't know why she doesn't know. I would say I don't know why, because of that Sunday that Ebuka asked Chimsom that who gave him stress during his household, his head of house reign, and he said Oyin, that kind of thing. So I think and Oyin is the kind of person that she holds on to things to forget. I forget the way she's laughing and everything. She's the kind of person that knows how to nurture grudge too. All right. I choked on my saliva. So Kamsy is not comfortable with the fact that Chisom is always coming at her with sexual advances. But in the case of Gerald, she has a very awesome conversation with Gerald. And most of her conversation with Gerald is highly intellectual. While her conversation with Chisom is sexual, which she's not even comfortable with. Yeah. And because of the way Chimsom is just transparent, she's a very transparent person. Yes. So it comes off like she's a spoiled person. I've noticed that thing. You understand? When you're open, you say it as it is. People think that you're loose. I don't know what I'm trying to say to you. So, Gerald's situation, she loves their conversation, very intellectual conversation. But the only problem she has is that Gerald does not come to her. She has to be the one to come to him, and it's okay. Gerald is respecting himself. Look, Gerald is a man. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying Chisom is not a man, but what I'm saying is that Gerald is someone that has this charisma. I don't know, he carries himself well. And he knows that Chisom has eyes for Kamsy, whatever source of eyes he has for her. So Gerald will not be stupid enough to go and start trying to drag babe. And this Kamsy self is very funny. Only her was crushing on Araga. From Araga, he jumped to Chimsom. From Chimsom now to Gerald, but that's by the way anyway. So Gerald is being sensible. You grab. He's not sure, and I noticed in their conversation, I think he sort of low-key spoke to Kamsy about her relationship with Chimsom. I don't know if she understood it or not, because he was trying to tell her that he's the very possessive type. So what is he trying to tell her? That he's not going to accommodate her flirting with someone else, especially Chisom, that is already in the picture. So she should be able to make up her mind, meaning maybe low-key Gerald is telling her and not telling her that she needs to manage that relationship with Chimsom in order to have a certain stability with him. Maybe not. He didn't say anything of sort like that directly, but indirectly he was telling her that he's a very possessive type. You get. So indirectly also telling her to mind whatever it is she has with Chimsom. You get what I'm trying to say to you. So the whole situation is Kamsy should just play her card well. That can be a content that will also keep her in the house. That triangle can also be another content that will keep her in the house, if you ask me. So basically, let me bring this video to the end, and thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you got to this point. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this three-way triangle relationship between Kamsy, Gerald, and Chimsom. What do you guys think? I think Chimsom just wants to use her as a rebound. Gerald might want to see something with her, not necessarily a long-term thingy, but just something around the house. Because let me tell you something, even these housemates, they really know that relationships or situationships in Biggie's house are just for content sake. Maybe that's why when there's so much pressure for them to push it in the outside world, it's usually very, very plastic. Drop in the comment section what you think about everything I've said, right? All right, thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye.